What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to be the ninth album by American rapper Kanye West. Basically, this project is called Jesus is King, and it came out in the fall of 2019. Now, the fair about this particular album is just the fact that Kanye West was originally going to call this album Yandi, as far as those fairs kind of happened. Very similar to how he named his 2013 album Yeezus after the Jesus album. Very similar to how he named his 2013 album Yeezus after the Jesus moniker. Particularly 2018's Yandi was going to be after Gandhi, as far as this was going to happen. So it's within the pitch now. Particularly, more or less, the Yandi album got leaked something within those fairs. It was supposed to come out in like the late summer or fall of 2018, but it just got delayed and then it got shelved within those pitches, which is kind of the fair. This is like the leftover get up of that particular album within those pitches. Jesus is King, as far as it's supposed to happen, but it's kind of within the pitch that this is kind of a new label and just overall. This is kind of its own label and beast as far as what's going to happen with this. This within the pitch now. The particular fair about it, Kanye West was super controversial around this time, but then he had really been but then Kanye West had been pretty typically kind of controversial since like the mid 2000s, between like the George Bush stuff of 2005 and the Taylor Swift stuff of like 2008, 2009 fairs like that. So it was within the ordeals as far as saying, particularly it was kind of within the aspect, but this is another capital type album within those pitches. So I'd have to say it has some trendiness type factor. Kanye West getting into Christian rap, some of those type fairs within the pitch, or religious rap within those aspects for what's first going to happen. It's definitely another good heavy hitting type album within a pitch as someone who's had pretty consistent type draw within the aspect like the fairs that he had done with these albums. It's just one pitch now. Within the recent type fair, I gave the Life of Pablo from 2016 a 10 out of 10. I definitely remember giving Ye from 2018 pretty high score. Similar fashion with Kids See Ghosts with Kid Cudi from 2018. Both those were pretty excellent. If I didn't give those 10s out of 10, I definitely gave them over a 9 out of 10. Now, this particular album, I'll go ahead and say is going to get a 9 out of 10. It's just the pitch as far as saying there is two songs off this particular product that do not, that either have Kanye on here and they either have Kanye on here and are just short type ones in like some format of kind of almost like an interlude or a skit type fair within pitches like that, or just kind of an outro. Then there's a choir on here that has the particular fair that's just not as affable, full bound, but the pitch behind it. The fair about this album is, for the most part, is pretty contemporary within a sense in terms of like the religious bound typeness. I like this particular album. This album has some good religious fare about it within the fairs behind it, but it's just the particular pitch that I did find myself kind of almost wanting more within the pitch and more DMX type style within the religious factor. There are certain religious rappers, when you think of like the particular theme, it makes me question, had DMX done an album similar to Jesus is King, or at least something within the format. This is particular kind of pop rap and pop trap in the sense it doesn't get as full bound kind of commercial as full bound, but there were two singles off this album that charted pretty solidly. They were top 20 singles on the Billboard 100. It's kind of the pitch. Kanye West continued to chart throughout the 2010s, despite the fact that he kind of got somewhat blacklisted with the concept of like the Taylor Swift controversy throughout the 2010s and late 2000s. But this is kind of the pitch as far as saying within the product of it. The religious fare of this album is fine enough within the pitch behind it, but it's just kind of the fair as far as saying with usual kind of religious type albums, it just depends upon your taste for like the aspect as to how much of an overbearing type theme it kind of presents. So it's just from the aspect as far as saying it's basically just like a pop rap album with just like a religious aesthetic as far as this festival can have. So it's just the pitch as far as saying it has the quality on here. The songs are actually very stellar within the pitch as far as these pitches can have. Not to say like they wouldn't because the religion, but it's just kind of the fair that it does have like the religious lyrics in here. It's not talking as full bound about songs like getting fucked up off of champagne, some of those type pitches within the format, and hella Instagram groupies pitches like that, some of those particular type formats within the pitch, just like typical kind of tear up, pop in. Riding on Dayton spoke some of those particular type formats, flossed out as hell within those type pitches within formats. It's just kind of the ordeal as far as saying it does have a certain kind of contemporariness that is surprising within the aspects. It's the same sort of similar type fashion of folks like NF and Lecrae, some of those type folks that have that particular fare, but this is actually like a more pop rap. It's definitely like more of like a pop rap kind of above commercial ground grab as far as this pitch can have. So this is probably the fair. For the most part, there were not too many folks who really reached like the aspect of like the depth that Kanye West particularly kind of got with like the religious rap that he particularly did on here. It's actually surprised for the most part. Lecrae never reached these heights. It's the same thing with NF. I mean, NF had like NF at least is probably within the range, probably within probably top three, top five of religious rappers that had that particular context about it. But it's just the pitch as far as saying Kanye West just kind of out of nowhere did some of these stuff once and really nailed it within the pitch. But it's kind of fair as far as saying it's just the theme behind it. It's just paying attention, just depending upon your aesthetic for how the religious type fair happens. It's more depending upon how you're aesthetic for like the religious type fare about it kind of goes along with this. It's something that engages in the product, but the quality is definitely very good. There's really only one true song that Kanye West is on that's not an outro or it's not an outro or interlude pitches like that I don't recommend. So it's just one of the pitches for us saying I'm gonna give this album a 9 out of 10, but there's actually 3 songs out of the 11 I don't recommend on here. Normally within that fashion, it'd probably be more of like an 8.5. But I feel like the pitch, I'm not going to really count the last song on this particular album because it's just a 50-second kind of song with this pitch of like more of just like a spoken verse within pitches like that. So it's not really as much full bound a song. So it'd really be 8 out of 10. And then the first song you hear off this album is just really just a church choir as far as what's going to happen within those aspects. So it's just kind of fair. That one, I think within the fashion of if it had been like All Falls Down, if it had been more in like the fashion and Never Let Me Down from College Dropouts, those type fairs, I definitely would have said within the pitch it would have had a little bit more gospel typeness that just wouldn't have been as overbearing. I probably would have recommended that one, but it's just kind of pitched. So, like I said, there's just some ones more than others kind of have like the theme just more, where it's more full bound with the pitch as far as the fair's gonna happen. But it's just a good type fair within the product, but just not as one I'd much full bound recommend. So, yeah, there's only one true song out of the 9 songs on here I don't recommend. So, just say this album gets the 9 out of 10. Now, it's within the pitch. It would be with a grain of salt within the aspect, just within the fair. If you come to this album listening after listening to folks like Project Pat and Yo Gotti and Meek Mill and Rick Ross, drill type music, Waka Flocka, some of these type of folks in the format, or other type fairs, Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, some of these type ones, Slayer, some of these type formats within pitch, or other type fairs are just typical kind of pop albums, just in pitch like more down to earth type fashions. It just kind of has like a loftiness type about it. It's just kind of the appeal as far as saying, not to say lofty to it, but it's just the aspect as far as like the theme behind it. It's just something to pay attention to. But that's just kind of the concept of like that fair. It's just kind of within that. But yeah, I guess the 9 out of 10. Yeah, there were 2 singles off this project. There were 2 singles off this album. The first one hit. The lead single is the top 10 single in the Billboard 100, which is some pretty big deals within Pit. Some pretty good ordeals within recent times for Kanye as far as his first happened. But Follow God was the lead single, like I was saying. This top 10 single hit number 7 on the Billboard 100. This like an evening shift glaze kind of get here. Good reflecting like an SFW leftover fair pitches like that. I'd say just a DJ drama tape type gauze within some type pitches behind. So just that particular format, this really feels ripped out of more 2005, 2006 within those particular fairs. This feels like something that probably could have been on late registration, college dropout, stones type ones. Maybe not as much graduation, but probably within the pitch as far as saying to some of those initial type Kanye type projects, just within pitch of something that feels like pretty much like a dedication, Can't Ban the Snowman, Trap or Die type leftover, but just more in like a backpacker rap type fashion that Kanye West was known for back in 2000, the mid 2000s. This real nice mixtape soul kind of grit as far as this first album. So just a throwback type song, definitely within those pitches, but definitely some evening shift kind of glazes within them format. Just some good type fare, just real excellent type product to like a good sunset drifting pitches like that. Pretty candid type song, real dope type one. This is what I say about this album, packing a punch within these ordeals as far as these pitches kind of have and closed on pitches like that. I'd say closed on Sundays, another nice one. It's like a nice after moments kind of rumination kind of get here. Definite good fare to smoke a nice one. So side products of it, just a sunset kind of steely drift as far as what's supposed to happen. So this basically tasted like some romance within it. So just it tastes like some brewing kind of sunset romance as far as what's supposed to happen. Just excellent type within pitch. When I say a steely type song, it's just real aspect like some cold grit as far as what's supposed to happen. Just excellent within pitch. Just real good type product is something that feels like something that would have been like a post grunge or alt rock type fair alternative alt metal or alt rock sounds type products is something you listen to at like 4:30, 5:30, 6:30 p.m. pitches like that just in the product of it. So just real good type fares with an aspect like these after hours type sessions. So it's just within products. It's a good type fare for Kanye. Definitely differential from most of the usual tones that he kind of goes with some of his albums. Like within the pitch, like Yay from 2018 was kind of more makeshift bound and more pop trap pitches like that within that particular aesthetic. There is at least a couple songs within that format on here as well, but it's just kind of pitch as far as saying that this kind of is just it's kind of just a religious rap type format is something that you'd listen to in like a more alternative metal type fashion within those pitches that just has that particular pair, but it's just good type product for that, just real commercial type conduct that has some good blitz in just after hours smoke type sessions. Now within the full boundness, I think more or less around this time Kanye may not as full bound been smoking, but it's just when the pitches sneaking some of those type ones in or just having that particular smoke type product with an extra effect of how to listen to it within some of those type pairs. Good to get like those golden Budweisers and some swishers kind of in rotation pitches like that's some good type of ordeals. But yeah, like I said, I recommend every song off this album. I recommend every song off this album minus Every Hour, which I said is just because it's a choir song that wasn't as full bound. I mean, it's a decent song, but it's just more overbearing And Jesus is Lord, the last song you hear is just like a spoken word within for the most part. It has a little bit of an instrumental on there, but it's just not captivating enough within the full bound type pitches full much. But it's just not that I'm not going to count that one as much within the tone. I am going to somewhat count like the choir song, but this kind of pitch is not as much a full bound natch as Kanye is not as really a full bound on it, but it's just the pitch. The only real song I don't recommend in any full bound fashion is just God Is. Which God is just a typical kind of mixtape soul type fashion and more house clean type music that would have felt like more DJ drama soul within the pitch, but just that one is just kind of where the theme of the religious type fair is just more overbearing with the pitch, or that's just a lot more worship within the sense, or just like the tone of like that relative type product. It is like more salutes and pitches like that within those aspects that this was not as full blown catching within the pitch. It's just kind of product as far as saying that that's less of a song and just more of like religious odes as far as this first happens. It's just the pitch as far as saying, but I look after here, down gets a 9 out of 10. So every other one of these songs hits pretty heavily within these pitches. So basically, Salah is like a nice one. It's like a choir like, good for like Citadel type gothicness within the tone as far as these pitches can happen. I definitely like the tone of this. This is sort of fair. I think if DMX would have done an album like this, probably would have been within the fashion of it. This has like this like good Citadel kind of gothicness and composure as far as this pitch can happen. Definitely gave me vibes like Van Helsing type fair and Constantine that Keanu Reeves did. I mean, Van Helsing was by Hugh Jackman, but Constantine had Keanu Reeves. This with them pitch sounds type products like that typical kind of crisp gothicness, like the wintertime sounds type pitches, the type formats within that. So just a real kind of Castlevania and Van Helsing, Constantine type stuff within the pitch. Charles was kind of have just like the excellence of that. I mean, I admit that Kanye West is more of like a pop rap kind of vanilla rapper, so him pulling off like the full bound kind of gothic vibe may not be as full bound with the pitch, but it's a good type product to get a little bit of that crisp kind of Dracula-ness within the format of it. Good type fare. Some of these other type ones, like Water's a pretty quality one as well. Definitely appreciate this one pretty thoroughly. It's like a relative kind of night venue bounce kind of get here in Fizz. I would definitely feel like about the product of it. Just a contemporary kind of pop trap pitches like that as far as this first can happen. Just sip a brew, definitely some of this, just some prim kind of mingle as far as this first can happen. So just kind of an occasion. This is the closest thing to like a dance club song on here as far as these first can happen, keeping like the religious theme, but it's just kind of the product of just like some after effects, like a product of some sort of after effect of some sort of spot commotion where you'd have like the particular theme where this would be playing like the religious theme of the sense, but just kind of having something like some bounce and like some relative kind of shake your ass pitches like that within the fairs, having like some cold Budweiser's pitches like that, some dance jives. Use This Gospel is a quality one. This has the clips on here and Kenny G. There are some guests on here. Ty Dolla $ign is on here. Ant Clemens is on here. Folks like that. Fred Hammond, some of these type folks in particular. Use This Gospel is a nice one. This has clips on here. Like I was saying, it's like a real talk kind of pop rap commute to kind of get within the aspects here. Just a grocery run like usual grid, I'd have to say, but just kind of driven within some type aspects of it. Hustle type song, more or less like a religious type sense in a more just pop rap kind of sense. Less kind of flex type music within the muscle of like the particular Hustlers makeshift songs type formats like mixtape type fare. There is a little bit of mixtape type bounce on here within pitches like that. Like I feel like Water kind of has like a relative pop trap within a sense behind it. And it's the same thing with On God, some of those type fares within it, but it's just kind of fair. I feel like Use This Gospel kind of has some of that hustle type grit, but it kind of keeps it more just like a contemporary type sense. Just this is this is a hustle type song, but it's just a vanilla hustle type song where it kind of translate more to like blue collar kind of grit more so than like the flexing of like it's just kind of an SFW type grind type song. It's like a wake up call and some real talk pitches like that, but this kind of does it with the religious type formats of it as far as what's gonna happen. So it's good type pitch. Other type ones like Hands On is a nice one as well. It's like a dreary kind of leftover makeshift wrap up. I'd have to say here pitches like that. This reminds like Ian Dior. I'd have to say who's a pretty good rhythmic type musician around like the late 2010s, early 2020s. Pitches like that. I've heard him within relative consistency across the past several years on like rhythmic radio pitches like that. It's like some good 2010s pop rumination as far as what's supposed to happen. So this feels like something that would have been ripped out of Ian Dior and Juice WRLD, some of those type folks out of 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, some of those type pairs within it. Typical type dredge and blase within the aspect. Not to say blase in terms of foul sense, but it's kind of the usual kind of blase type mode that you just would be in at like either 1 o'clock in the afternoon during the lunch rush or 4 o'clock p.m. after the break of it all, pitches like that, still inside fair. So just the product of some of that type conduct. On God is a quality one as well as like an after work shift kind of gliss and scene frog to kind of get within these aspects here. Just feeling jazzy, I definitely say. Great song to get tore up to pitches like that. Just kind of some mixtape kin as far as what's supposed to kind of have. So definitely excellent within the pitch. Feels On God just feels ripped out of the like On God just feels ripped out of the Dat Piff era from like the early 2010s pitches like that within those ordeals. Definitely refreshing. Get some of those type fares. good, excellent type pitch within those products of it. It's real glissy and sparky type one, I'd say, within the products of it. Good type fare. And then everything we need with Ty Dolla Sign and Ant Clemens is a nice one as well. It's like some usual dredge for like day shift and SFW kind of Starbucks hours pitches like that. So it's kind of within the fare, more or less within the product of when you would shop at like when you would frequent places like Panera Bread and Starbucks selling type fares within the pitch behind other places like that. There's some other type places within the fair, just can't think of it as full bound with the pitch, but definitely places like that within those aspects, like the morning shift, Target, selling type places. This particular song, Everything We Need, definitely reminds of the Yay album from 2018. So it's just a pitch that leftover type product, just with the religious theme about it as far as what's going to happen with this. So just good type tone, just some leftover spill within the pitch as far as those particular aspects going to happen. Is yeah, basically around this time in the fall of 2019, Yay from 2018 was really only like a year and some change old, really not even a year and a half within those pitches. So it's just kind of formative having some refreshing type Kanye type within the pitch, because he did basically between like the spring of 2018 and the fall of 2019, you got 3 Kanye albums. It's within pitch for saying some excellent type products as far as what's first gonna happen. So just a good whopping typeness with an aspect of it there. Yeah, the sound gets a 9 out of 10 within these pitches. Social Score, I'll go ahead and give. I pretty much would say the bannerness of the singles is real quality. These are some standout singles from Kanye West, even with the religious theme. The religious theme is not as super heavy on the singles within the pitch behind it. It's just kind of the product as far as saying that it keeps it within the mostly composition, that minus like maybe a couple songs. Not every single song that I don't recommend doesn't have Kanye on there, but just a minor natchez songs for the pitch. It's not enough to really knock this out of 9 out of 10 type territory, but it's just within the pitch as far as saying it has like a pretty good aesthetic. I like the product. I dislike nailing a religious sound that has like the commercial type aspect about it. Just has the bite of something that kind of has like some moments on here that do have some social jostle about them as far as what's supposed to happen. So it's just the pitch as far as saying you can use some of these type of songs. I do like the evening type fare of the singles. There's some mixtape type trap on here pitches like that. Songs like On God and Water, songs that pitch has some mixtape type fares. There are some products for like some makeshift kind of SFW kind of Target runs and Starbucks runs pitches like that. Songs like Everything We Need and Hands On, songs type ones. I would probably even say Use This Gospel within a relative type sense. And yeah, I would actually say Use This Gospel is kind of a hustle type song, and like a kind of halfway between a hustle type song and like a mixtape type sense, but also like SFW type senses within those ordeals. And then basically Salah is just like a gothic type one that just has some good type products for like a good repent or something like that within those aspects of something that's kind of like movie type fare and like religious senses, good type products. So just the excellence of getting that particular product. So yeah, I'll probably say the social score would probably get, and probably say the social score would get a 9.5 out of 10. I look at them pitches, this kind of the product as far as saying that probably maybe it could have used like another dance club type song like Water, something like that, and just maybe a fair of just something, maybe some sort of song for the starlets as far as what's supposed to happen. Now, I do at least feel like Close on Sunday is a pretty good relative smoky type song for the starlets as far as what's supposed to happen, but probably just something for like, diva type fizz within pitches like that. But other than that, this pretty good album has it's a 9.5 social. In terms of features, like Kanye West has dropped some recent type fares. He's apparently within the product of it, he's getting ready to drop an album called Bully, pitches like that. He did drop an album earlier in 2025 for some of those type fares, and he dropped the Vultures albums in 2024, some of those type pitches. So it's just within the fair, just the products for saying, but this is like a virtual classic with an aspect of it, probably the theme of like the religion not been, if it had been more just like how DMX would have done it. Not say like there's problem with how Kanye does it, but just a pitch. If the religious theme had not been as much full bound, where it was categorized like a religious album, but if it had just been a rap album with just a lot of religion about it, maybe just the fashion where something where you would think like Afro Man kind of talks about religion oftenly enough, and like his albums where he talks about God in a good portion of some of those type of songs, but it wasn't actually like religious rap. This is kind of pitch if it had that format where it would have these same songs and beats, but just maybe different names for some of these type pitches, as opposed to just being called Closed on Sunday, Closed on Sun. I mean, Closed on Sunday is a nice one, but just a pitch of just other type ones that would have some differential type topics apart from like religious scenes probably would have been the excellent. So it's not to say this album is not like a virtual classic within the aspects. It's kind of fair as far as saying that that's the only real fair about it. Is just the fact that there's it's within the pitch. It's going to be kind of divisive within pitches to like the religious kind of connotations as to how much like the favor is going to have within the aspect. But I doubt, like I said, I give this album a 9 out of 10. Definitely blistering within PL. This kind of the concept that it's just something to know going in within like the products of it. But I do appreciate this album quite thoroughly within aspects. Social score definitely gets a 9.5 out of 10. Plenty of these type products, some social type moments for SFW makeshift type moments, and like some night themes pitches like that. Some type products and some dust type product that just has some good smoke type fashions and sippage. So good type fair snack runs pitches like that. Plenty of excellence off this sound. Just an overall banner type, another banner type album from Kanye West, I'd have to say.